I got to Vietnam, I was a 19-year-old kid. When I left Vietnam, I was a 20-year-old man.
If you didn't think on your feet real quick, you'd be laying on your back.
We all trusted each other with our lives.
Every detachment had a different mission.
Contrary to what the history books might say to you about Vietnam today, this was a volunteer squadron.
Every other outfit, Army and Air Force, they have a home back here in the States somewhere, and we don't.
Bullet came in that hit me, came in right here and cut the wire to my mic, and on the back of my helmet was spelled kid, and it dotted the I.
Their life meant nothing if one of us was in trouble. They did what it took to get us out.
But when we got there, we didn't have much of anything.
Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's being scared out of your wits and doing your job. That's courage.
We were the McHale's Navy of Vietnam, a cross between the Baa Baa Black Sheep and McHale's Navy.
It was well known that if you got in trouble, you better know the frequency to call for the Sea Wolves, because we would come, whether it was 2 in the morning or in black and weather and rain, monsoon. You're never going to leave anybody on the ground. If you put them in there, by God, you're going back and getting them, even if it costs you.
Just flew in horrendous conditions. We used to fly at night 100 feet over the trees. Somebody shot us, we dropped a flare and then rolled in and shot.
Vietnam, 1967. For the first time in history, a unique helicopter squadron is established by the Navy. They're known as the HAL-3 Sea Wolves. Part of the Brownwater Navy, their mission is to provide close air support for the river patrol boats and riverine forces in the Mekong Delta, insertions and extractions of SEALs, Army, and Special Ops.
They had got all the old Army helicopters that they didn't want, and these Navy guys were patching them up and tying them together and making them work.
Vietnam was jungle warfare, where the U.S. Army, Marines, and Air Force battled for control. Meanwhile, little is known of the war the Sea Wolves and the Brownwater Navy were fighting in the Delta. And yet, for 5 years, the approximately 2,600 maintainers, pilots, gunners, and support personnel that comprised the Sea Wolves would patrol the Delta, but they would remain forgotten in the early histories of the Vietnam War. The squadron was established and disestablished in Vietnam and never spent a day inside the United States. They were unlike any other squadron. They used hand-me-down Hueys and had few mechanical supplies. Yet, they volunteered for duty, operating from 9 detachments with headquarters at Vung Tau and eventually Binh Thuy. They became indispensable to the men they saved and the most decorated squadron in naval aviation history. Close to 50 years later, this is their story. The Mekong Delta is the southern quarter of Vietnam, where more than half of the South Vietnamese population live. The brown, muddy waters of the Mekong River twist and turn for 2,700 miles, emptying into the South China Sea. With heavy monsoon rains from the mountains of China through Laos and Cambodia, the slow-moving waters meander through thousands of canals, streams, and rivers, picking up nutrients and soil that create the perfect environment for growing rice. It was also the perfect environment for the North Vietnamese Army to smuggle arms.